We have just had the inaugural Las Vegas Grand Prix and oh my god, race of the season. It's also being sued, but I'll touch on that later. Before anyone says that technically it's not the inaugural, yes, I know that, but it's the first time it's being called the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Before, in the 80s, it was called the Caesars Palace Grand Prix. Charles frickin' Leclerc. Holy shit. What a weekend he had. Honestly, that win would have been his if it wasn't for that bloody second safety car. If it wasn't for that, he would have won the race. In terms of qualifying, like, no one was going to beat him to pole. He was so quick all throughout the weekend. Like, I knew Ferrari were going to be quick this weekend, but I didn't expect them to be just this good, like as good as they were. Did not see that one coming. And despite the fact he missed out on the win through that bloody safety car, he still drove a brilliant race. And honestly, it's weekends like this that kind of remind us all and further prove that, look, give him a top championship contending car, he can win a championship. He can do it. He just needs the car to be able to do it. And, you know, for Ferrari to keep their shit together for once. Which they actually did. It's also weekends like this that remind me of one of the reasons why Leclerc is my favorite driver. Because he's so good on street tracks. And watching him drive a street track, he's always so good on a street track. And you can tell he loves the street circuits. I know that he's comfortable on them. He's not scared to be right up close and personal with drivers. To me, it sometimes seems like when he's like really hooked up on a street track, it's like, okay, this is one of them times where it's gonna end really well or it's gonna end in a barrier. And that last lap overtake, oh my god. I could watch that overtake over and over again. If that isn't at the very least a contender for overtake of the season, then fucking nothing is. But one of the things I love most about that overtake is the reaction from Ferrari. So you see the reaction from Ferrari. He goes for the overtake, he does it, then the mechanics will cheer, like, yes, he did it. But then there's that one mechanic, the guy in the helmet, he's like, wait, don't celebrate too early, just wait, Checo could still get him back. Then he crosses the line P2, then that very mechanic jumps up like, okay, now we can celebrate. Now, in terms of lap 1 between Leclerc and Verstappen, while we're on the topic of Leclerc, it's one of the things where it is what it is. Leclerc said post-race that Red Bull have both titles done, so of course Max is going to go for it, and he's absolutely right. Verstappen's going to freaking go for it. The penalty was fair, but I do think he should have been asked to give the place back, because I feel like that would have been a bit more of a penalty, because Max wouldn't have had free air to help with tire wear and all that. And then given how Red Bull, well, Verstappen's medium towards the end of the stint, he really dropped off in pace towards the end of his stint, and then Leclerc, he'd kept his tires in much better nick in the dirty air as well. He was behind Verstappen and he was still able to keep his tires in much better nick. It could have been, maybe Leclerc could have kept his tires in a bit better condition if he had the free air to help manage them. I don't know, I'm just brainstorming here. But it really goes to show how incredible of a weekend Leclerc had and a brilliant race he had. The Red Bull needed, as I saw someone point out on Twitter, they needed a safety car and a slight advantage in tire life to beat Charles this weekend. Fucking amazing. Absolutely mega weekend. He got driver of the day, and rightfully so. Oh, and not to mention, Charles is the only driver to overtake the Red Bulls this year 3 times. Yes, I know, Singapore. However, in Singapore, no one overtook them 3 times, and they were on much, much older tires, so it wasn't exactly equal fighting. Whereas in Las Vegas, it was equal fighting. And this is also obviously ignoring lap 1, because lap 1 is always ignored when we're talking about overtake numbers. And again, still on the topic of Charles, and Checo as well. How did he fall for that twice? He fell for Leclerc doing the same thing twice, basically. Going for a sudden dive down the inside at turn 14. I kind of thought after Leclerc done it once, Checo probably wouldn't fall for it again. But he did. And it was an even bigger send. But I mean, hey, Checo had a good race other than that. I mean, pitting early on to fix under that early safety car to fix the damage and then go to hards, that was a really smart move and really made his race and basically helped him finish on the podium, really. And then on the other side of the Ferrari garage, I have nothing to say really, except for Sainz did do a pretty good comeback. I honestly can't say I noticed Sainz all too much in this race. I'm gonna be honest, but he did a good comeback to finish in the points in P6 after those problems he had at turn 1 where he was spun round. And the good thing is for Ferrari, those 18 points from Charles and then the 8 points from Carlos, they're now only 4 points behind Mercedes in the championship and for P2. Elsewhere, I'm really glad Norris is okay after that crash. I saw videos of the crash from his onboard board with like the radio on TikTok, and then you could see like his hand was like shaking a bit when he was like going to press a button on the steering wheel. I presume the radio button or something like that. I don't know, but I'm glad he's okay. That was a big crash. And Esteban Ocon, P16 to P4. Okay, it did look from our perspective that he kind of ignored team orders. It was a bit of a smart move to overtake him anyway, given Gasly did drop off a bit towards the end, so passing him was a smart move, and Ocon managed to finish P4. And Lance Stroll also brilliant comeback from what, P19 at the start to P5. He was helped by that safety car in the middle of the race, but I mean, he still had to keep it up there in that kind of higher place after the safety car, and he did it. And not to mention, Stroll pulled this off at one point in the race. I don't remember seeing this on the broadcast, but I saw someone point out on Twitter, so I thought I'd mention it here. I didn't expect that much from Lance Stroll, I'm gonna be honest. I did expect more from Williams, but with that being said though, Williams expected more. They were a bit disappointing. So much for my prediction of Alex Albon in the top 5, I'm gonna be honest. So now on to the Las Vegas Grand Prix being sued thing before I give some final thoughts and end the video. It's to do with the hill mess that was Thursday, and it's in relation to the fans who were escorted out of spectator zones and that after Thursday's delayed practice session. And the lawsuit alleges breach of contract, negligence, and deceptive trade practices, apparently. Honestly, I am not surprised because, well, it's America, you guys seem to like suing people. But no, jokes aside, I am not surprised because it was a really shitty situation for those fans. And if I was there in person, I'd have been pissed too, especially if for those fans who had just Thursday tickets. And not to mention the fans who did have just Thursday tickets, they didn't even really get an apology just to, yeah, shit happened, here's a $200 voucher for the Las Vegas Grand Prix store. Doesn't take much to say, yeah, we screwed up, we're sorry. But we'll have to see what comes of this. But no, after a difficult start to the weekend, Vegas really pulled it back and it ended up being, I think, the race to the season. I've been looking forward to the Las Vegas Grand Prix since it was announced, and oh my god, it was worth the wait. I've said before that if Vegas bangs, we say F it and make it the season finale. Well, it did bang, so yeah, let's make it the season finale, I say. Will it be cold? Yes. Is that ideal? Not really. But would it be a better way to end the season than Abu Dhabi? Yes, it would be. I mean, perhaps timings of sessions might need to be looked at. The easiest option would be to fix it would be to switch it to a daytime race, but to me, that just doesn't feel right. Vegas as a daytime race, to me, it does not feel right. It's one of those races where it feels right as a nighttime race. But anyway, what did you think of the Las Vegas Grand Prix? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.